If you've been keeping up with the antics of actor Sean Penn, you know by now for the last couple of years he had dealings and interactions with President Zelensky, walking around the Ukraine, cosplaying as some sort of war fighter, dare I say, thinking of himself as some sort of war general because he did a documentary about the Ukraine while he was there. And so I can believe this story, even though I can't find the source for this story on Google News. I mean, it is Google News, so they could be hiding it. But it's the story about Sean Penn referring to Trump as Bin Laden and his supporters as Al-Qaeda. And that's in reaction to the fact that Trump, among one of his many promises, is to pull away from the United States constantly funding that war by funding the country of Ukraine. And so, in reaction to that, Sean Penn supposedly made this comparison to Trump supporters as being Al Qaeda and Trump being bin Laden. Now, we know this is diatribe that these Holly weirdos say all the time. You know, if it's not Al Qaeda and Biden, I mean, yeah, Biden is appropriate, but if it's not Al Qaeda and bin Laden, then it's Hitler and the Nazis. And again, it's just another example of why no Trump supporter, no Trump voter, or no person in their right mind in general should be funding an industry, Hollywood and all of the companies under its umbrella within the mainstream media. No person in their right mind should be funding these kinds of people that say all these horrible things about other people while literally being an industry where child sex trafficking takes place. And pretty much since the beginning of Hollywood. But did you know he's also good friends with Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son? You know, apparently he has many of his paintings, his artwork on his walls. And in reaction to Biden pardoning his son with, one of his crimes, allegedly having dealings with the Ukraine, amongst other countries, while Biden was vice president. But Sean Penn, Trump supporters, Al Qaeda, Hunter Biden is a good friend. And you have to remember the Ukraine is the same country that has legit neo Nazis within their military. And how do we know about that? Well, the mainstream media, almost 10 years ago now, and in some cases 10 years ago, they talked about the neo Nazis within the Ukraine military. Back when they were doing a story using that as an example of what, the far right in the United States is using as inspiration. They reference them using neo Nazis in the Ukraine as inspiration. And then you cut to a few years later, that very same liberal mainstream media are the number one fans and supporters of the Ukraine, which have those neo Nazis within their military. And again, it's just perfectly sums up the continued just contradiction, hypocrisy, uh, just shameless activity that these people are always engaging in. And truly, the people to call out more so than even the notable people involved with all this nonsense. The true people to call out are your everyday 9 to 5ers that support this nonsense. Because without the millions, particularly in this country, in the United States, supporting this ideology, then it would have no true stance or effect. But since they still can get, over 70 million to support someone like a Kamala Harris, that's why they continue to have influence. But that's why I say it, the people who claim to be against it if they stood ground aggressively against it by financially bankrupting any company or personality that supports this type of ideology, then you can truly hope to affect some serious change. But until then, you're just continuing to finance your ideological enemies that says things like Sean Penn says and befriends people like Sean Penn befriends people, such as Hunter Biden. Because again, he traveled there on monies he's made from his Hollywood life, traveled to the Ukraine to play this, you know, cosplaying warmonger, while of course conveniently not having to risk his life or the life of his children. But he's perfectly fine with risking the lives of Ukrainians and their kids. Sick bastards. And he represents all of Hollywood.